The Town Hall Park Market is a relentless surge of noise and motion. From morning until night, a dense crowd navigates a narrow path packed with medicine sellers, magicians, and auctioneers competing to be heard over the din. Sitting calmly in the middle of this chaos, under the thick boughs of a tamarind tree, is our subject. He opens his bag each midday, laying out a dozen cowrie shells and a square cloth covered in obscure mystic charts. His appearance is calculated for maximum effect. His forehead is heavily painted with sacred ash and vermilion. A bright saffron turban crowns his head. As he constantly searches the crowd for customers, his eyes carry a sharp gleam that passing clients easily misinterpret as a divine prophetic light. In reality, he is as much a stranger to the stars as his innocent customers. He possesses zero mystical ability. Instead, he relies entirely on a sharp, practiced observation of everyday human tangles, marriage, money, and troubled relationships. This diagram shows his core operational tactic: forced listening. He charges a tiny fee and refuses to speak until the client has talked for 10 uninterrupted minutes. They freely hand him enough raw data to formulate a dozen highly accurate, flattering guesses. This urban street hustle was never his plan. He left his home village hundreds of miles away in a sudden rush, telling absolutely no one and abandoning his designated future. Had he stayed, he would have lived out a quiet, predictable rhythm. He would have married, tilled the land, and grown old in the ancestral cornfields of his forefathers. Instead, he is here. The painted forehead, the charts, the intense stare, none of it is a magical gift. It is a carefully engineered psychological camouflage, keeping him fed in an unforgiving city. The workday usually ends when the neighboring groundnut vendor extinguishes his hissing flare. Without municipal lighting, the park is plunged into heavy shadows and smoke. As the astrologer begins packing his cowrie shells, a single stray shaft of green light cuts through the darkness. A man steps directly into it, blocking his path. The stranger is aggressive and impatient. He thrusts his palm under the astrologer's nose and demands real answers, forcing him into a tense financial wager. If the predictions are a bluff, the astrologer must pay up with interest. The stranger lights a cheroot to seal the deal. For a split second, the match flares up, and the astrologer sees his face clearly. The astrologer's blood runs cold. He recognizes those features immediately. Absolute panic sets in, and he tries to hand the coin back, pleading that it is too late and he must go home. The stranger's hand clamps onto his wrist, pinning him in place. He tells the terrified vendor that there is no escape. The challenge has been issued, and he will not be allowed to leave until he fulfills the wager. With his throat drying up, the astrologer leans hard into his fake persona. He looks at the man and states definitively that a knife has passed through him once. Stunned, the stranger proudly bares his chest to show the old scar. Pressing his advantage, the astrologer details the rest of the violent history without hesitation. He tells the man he was pushed into a nearby well in a field and left for dead. In a matter of seconds, the terrified vendor flips the script entirely. By weaponizing the stranger's own brutal history against him, the astrologer strips away the man's aggression and regains total control of the night. To shatter any remaining skepticism, the astrologer delivers the ultimate proof. He looks the stranger in the eye and calls him by his exact name, Guru Nayak. As this map illustrates, the astrologer gives him a strict geographic directive. He tells Guru Nayak the man who stabbed him was crushed under a lorry, and orders him to take the next train north, warning that traveling south again will result in certain death. Guru Nayak grunts, deeply satisfied that his enemy met a gruesome end. He drops a handful of coins into the astrologer's bag and disappears into the dark. It is nearly midnight when the astrologer finally reaches his door. He tosses the meager handful of coins to his wife, who immediately starts planning to buy sweets for their child tomorrow. He removes the heavy saffron turban and stretches out on his wooden cot. The sheer, crushing tension of the encounter finally leaves his body. In the quiet of his home, he reveals the truth to his wife. Years ago, during a drunken brawl in his home village, he stabbed a man, threw him down a well, and fled his old life entirely, believing he was a murderer. The stranger he feared for decades was the very man standing before him tonight. By successfully lying to his victim, the astrologer finally silenced the guilt of the murder he thought he committed.